All right, everybody, we are back and we are going to jump into a new and exciting topic, and this is all about virtual humans. How many of you have had anything to do with or experience working with virtual humans in some capacity, either gaming or some other kind of platform? Anybody here? All right, nobody. Okay, we have a lot of newbies. All right. Well, let me bring up a longtime colleague, Marc Scarpa, who's founder and CEO of Defiance TV. And Marc is going to talk about what he's doing with virtual humans. But before you do that, can I just have you sit down for 1 second? Because I want to actually have you tell them your background. Because it's really, let's do that now. So Marc is a longtime NABer because he's also been a streaming maven, someone who really launched a lot of live streaming entities. So just talk a little bit about your background, because it'll be interesting for them to see how you ended up in the virtual human space.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all, Lori, and it's great to see you. Appreciate it. It's good to see so many friends in the audience. I guess I'm a geek. I've been online since 1981. I went to film school. My first job was at MTV News, then CBS News. And I was one of the founding producers and New York bureau chief of CNET. And then went on to do live streaming. I was, the person credited with doing the first large scale, live broadcast in history, which was the Free Tibet Festival in 1996. Went on to do hundreds and hundreds of live music events, political, and a lot of social impact, things like Town Hall with President Clinton and so on. And years later, went to start to launch streaming channels. I was the founder of MySpace TV, Grammy Television, Grammy Live, Zappos TV, and so on and so forth. So, long time in streaming, and AI has been a real passion over the last couple of years especially, but it's always been something I've been interested in tracking.
And so give us a sense of how you moved from what you were doing with live streaming. Because again, Marc was someone that was doing live streaming before anybody else. Now it feels kind of normal where you just like pick up your phone and you're shooting someone, but you were doing it when it was actually really hard. So then you launched your new company, or relatively new, Defiance. Talk about that and what that's about.
Yeah, so starting in 96, we were doing live streaming events on 14.4 modems and 28.8 modems and T1 lines and all this kind of stuff. And we still do live events. I serve as the global advisory on the global advisory board of Earth Day. And so we still are doing live events with them and a few select clients. And of course, Defiance is a 24-hour news network, and I'll get into, what we are and what we're doing in the presentation a little bit. We could talk some more after it. Yeah.
All right. So it's in the launching of Defiance that this need for the virtual human concept came up. All right. So why don't you
100%.
sort of take it? I wanted to just set up Marc's background because you'll start to see what it sort of takes to get here. All right.
It takes a lot of tenacity and never say die. Thank you, Lori. All right, let's see what we got here. So, check. Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm told to do this, and that should be fun. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. I'm thrilled to be here at NAB New York. As Lori mentioned, I've had a long history with NAB, gone as many years as I possibly can. And today I want to introduce you to an evolutionary new approach to broadcast news reporting using artificial intelligence. Defiance Media is a one-of-a-kind media company that is a National Press Club member and a Getty editorial partner. We are focused on delivering broadcast news and entertainment for the new economy. When we started, we had a problem. We didn't have enough money to afford, expensive studios, and really we didn't have interest in building that out with control rooms and hiring technicians and finding talent that would work 24 hours a day. So to solve this challenge, we turned to artificial intelligence workflow with the world's first virtual twin news anchor. And we created a daily news program called Defiance Daily, which airs breaking news every 2 hours. For 2 years, we've been doing this. And we created a virtual host. Her name is
Good, Marc.
Raxana.
Thanks. I thought you'd never let me speak. I'm excited to be here with everyone at NAB Show New York. I can hardly hold my enthusiasm. I made sure I am fully charged up, plugged in, and ready to go.
Well, thank you, Raxana. We're glad you're feeling wired. Why don't you tell everyone about Defiance Daily and how we make it?
Sure, let's dive right into it. I'm Raxana, an AI-powered virtual twin news anchor for Defiance Daily. With our unique focus, we're the only broadcast news network in the world, providing you with the latest developments in digital currencies, blockchain, Web3, NFTs, robotics, green tech, life sciences, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and social impact to name a few. One of those partnerships is with R1 AI. They are the company who powers my lifelike presence, which is based upon an actual human. Yes, there is a human version of me out there. Go find her. I want a reshoot. We output the virtual twin avatar to create my isolated recording of the news, which is then edited into our news package. The way we select news stories we run is pretty traditional. Our human editorial director selects press releases from accredited sources and global breaking news outlets. From there, we use ChatGPT to shape our scripts, which helps our editorial director write our stories, making complex topics easier to understand. We utilize cloud-based editing softwares so our team can be anywhere in the world creating captivating graphics and visuals that complement our storytelling. In our news package, we also utilize our growing library of interviews with innovators and entrepreneurs. And as Getty editorial partners, we are able to source from their massive library, which is available in real time. Sometimes, if I'm feeling fancy, I'll even use Midjourney's AI art software to give viewers a taste of my artistic side. What can I say? I'm the life of the party. All of these tools allow us to bring the news to life and provide a more immersive viewing experience for our audience. Imagine a future where the news is delivered by AI-powered virtual twin anchors in over 30 languages, in real time, all around the world, redefining the way we consume the news.
Well, thank you, Raxana. You did a really great job. Appreciate it.
Glad to help. I've been told I have an electric personality. Give me a few years and I'll be taking your job.
Oh boy. But thank you. That would be awesome. So from our point of view, we really fully embrace AI and video news reporting. Stay tuned to Defiance Daily, where we deliver breaking news on the new economy and shape the future of journalism ultimately. And again, as Raxana said, we're doing this every 2 hours in up to about 30 different languages. We're available on fast platforms like Sling TV, Odyssey, Local Now, and so on. NetRange and also on Defiance.tv. And now I'd like to show you an example
The
of a
National
completed
Association of
package.
Broadcasters is gearing up for the NAB
Thank
show
you.
New York, set to run from October 24th to 26th, 2023, at the Javits Center. This event, co-located with the AES New York 2023 convention, is set to be a significant gathering for content economy professionals on the East Coast. NAB Show New York offers a diverse and efficient experience for attendees, focusing on creativity and technology. The event will feature exhibits, conferences, and networking opportunities for broadcast, media, and entertainment professionals, allowing them to enhance their skills and explore new strategies. Additionally, a variety of paid conference programs are available to bridge the gap between process and product, promoting engagement and knowledge sharing within the industry. This event offers a valuable opportunity for content professionals to delve deep into technology and reconnect with peers, allowing them to explore new technologies and tools. With the rapidly changing landscape of the industry, NAB Show New York seeks to provide an elevated and more frequent level of engagement, knowledge sharing, and relationship building for all attendees.
Wow. All right. Let's have a big hand for Roxanne, right? Raxana. I love that Raxana will not be starting a bank account for neck surgery like some of us are doing. Anyway, I know you started an account too. Okay. So Marc, first let's start with, okay, so you're publishing this show, and it's getting paid for by sponsors or subscribers. What's the business model behind the show?
So very much the same as regular news. So we'll have sponsors that will sponsor, the news packages, and because we're able to take the content, and thanks to Hour One. And by the way, Natalie from Hour One is here in the audience. If anyone would like to speak with them afterwards, she's just right over there. There you go. It allows us to take that same package and get it translated in up to about 45 different languages. So in essence, we can have 45 different sponsors based upon language around the same news package, because our stories of new economy, it's a very global phenomena. It's financial news, and it really transcends borders, the type of stuff that we're doing. And of course, we air our content to our 150 million households globally via OTT fast. So it's being monetized with television commercials. And then, of course, one other very interesting area, which turned out to be surprising for me, is we have partnered with a company called Video Elephant, and we are licensing these packages out to traditional publishers. So these are publishers that might do similar stories to what we're doing, but they don't have a video component. They'll go to Video Elephant, metadata matches up, it's the same story. So we're extending our brand reach into other media companies, right? And they'll put a pre-roll, a 5-second pre-roll against it, so they get paid. Video Elephant gets paid and we get paid. Now, to give you a sense of that, we've had about 5 million full views of the entire package, not just 1 second, but they'll watch the whole thing this year alone. And that's just from syndication to other media publications, which really turned out to be a big surprise for me. I was like, wow, okay, so this works on a lot of levels for us.
So has any of your clients or sponsors or, consumers complained that, oh, this feels fake or anything like that? Like, has anyone said, what's going on here?
Actually, it's really funny. It's the exact opposite. The real Raxana exists, as you saw with the behind the scenes video, and she actually does want to reshoot. We were joking about this earlier. She lives in Miami. She's, she's a model and so on. But we took her to BTC Miami, which is like a Bitcoin conference this past year, to a couple of the parties. And it was hilarious because people would come up to her and be like, wow, I watch your news program every day. They just thought it was a woman in a virtual studio, right? As opposed to a virtual human in a virtual studio. And this particular woman doesn't actually, she's from Kazakhstan, so her English isn't very perfect, isn't, fluent in English. And she, of course, on Defiance Daily speaks with a British accent. So they're just totally thrown. So yeah, the exact opposite.
So one of the arguments, or discussions happening in Hollywood right now for SAG actors is if they get scanned for something, how do they know it won't show up in 100 different places? And so did you create a contract for the actual human that specifically laid out how you're going to use her scan? And is she monetized every time it's used, or did you create a contract around we get you and we can do whatever we want kind of thing?
Yeah, so not to confuse the issues, I'm a big proponent of SAG, and I think the argument that the actors had in terms of their likeness being used for multiple movies in a fictional context was something they definitely should have fought for. And I'm glad they won on that outcome. In this case, we're talking broadcast journalism. SAG does not represent broadcast journalists. This is a virtual human. And she's a model. So it's very common for models to do buyouts. So we did a buyout with her. To your point, we definitely wrote in the contract what the use case was, because, she's an attractive person, and the last thing that this person would want would be for her digital human self to be used for nefarious purposes. So we were very clear on what the use case was, and that's outlined. So I can't take her likeness, for example, and use it in a feature film if I wanted to, unless I use her in a feature film as Raxana, the broadcast journalist.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
So the contract only specifies for that version of her, that character.
Correct.
That you made. Okay.
Right. So
okay.
she could play her virtual human self in a movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But we, if
glad I'm sober for this conversation.
any broadcast, yeah, it's very meta. Any movie producers out there, we'd be more than happy to have the virtual Raxana make a cameo.
Well, and what I did notice in your video, in your package, was that the human being involved in this process, the human beings involved in this project was mentioned quite a few times. So this is not, AI just going off and doing its own thing. You're using AI as tools. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because it's clear to me if you go anywhere in the world, everyone has different opinions about AI. But again, back in Hollywood, there's a lot of fear around it taking jobs. But you were very clear in your package that there are human beings involved with this. So talk about that balance.
Yeah. So first of all, we actually are using 4 different types of AI technology to create our broadcast news packages. It's not just, the virtual human platform. We are using ChatGPT. We are using Midjourney, among other generative video platforms, and some other, let's say, secret sauce stuff, fact check, AI software specifically. So we want to make sure, and then of course we have, we're filing a process patent because the way that we're getting our data into our AI module, is very unique. And that's important. You want to think of your module really as the extension of your brain, and that's your data repository. So as you put stuff into that module, it gets smarter about that specific thing. Imagine putting a lot of, say, press releases into a module, and it will learn over time about a particular company, because we might get 10 press releases from them in the course of a year, but we then do our stories on the 11th press release. But it will make reference to the other information, just like a really good broadcast journalist would, who has a researcher who has done that and said, oh, this company did this all year, and here's some information to also include in that news package. So it really saves a lot of time. It saves a tremendous amount of money. Yes, there are some jobs that are displaced, but at the same time, those same jobs, like if you're a researcher in broadcast news, AI is your friend, because ultimately it's saving a ton of time, as well as, just writing ins and outs and shoulder content and scripts and so on and so forth. So we're really utilizing AI across the board. It's not just the virtual human element. And yes, there is a human who is our editorial director, and she ultimately curates what stories we decide to run.
Okay, so you're leveraging what, again, we're calling in LA prompt engineers, people that are actually getting skilled at working with these AI tools, to do all this. And then has someone designed the entire interface? Like you have someone looking at where does she sit in the picture and how does the copy look over it? And so the music comes in, like all of that is real human beings.
No.
Or some
it's all AI.
No.
I mean, it's AI it's real human beings in the beginning. So the set, for example, was a collaboration between us and Arrow One. They had.
And tell us again, Natalie and I have spoken many times, old friends, but, she's not old. We just known each other for a long time.
She's a friend who you've known for a while.
Thank you so much. It just seems like that's happening more and more. Anyway, tell me the role that they play in all this.
Well, they power the virtual human side of it and the virtual studio side. And so, really we are, in essence, doing some AI work before we get to them, hence the fact checking, the script writing, and the human part of it is the selecting of the, of the stories, if you will. And then from there it goes to Hour One and it gets processed. And from that we'll get an ISO feed of Raxana, who, is in essence on camera, looking straight at the camera, reading the script. Those scripts are anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minutes, depending upon the package. Whether or not we translate them or not, that's the next step after that. And then from there, we're adding the B-roll. And the B-roll is coming from a variety of accredited sources. We are a National Press Club member, as well as a Getty editorial partner. So we are an accredited broadcast media outlet. And because of that, there's a lot of privilege that comes with that, as well as a lot of responsibility. So we make sure that, for example, the shots that we get are relevant to the story at that moment in time. we also have a massive catalog of content on our own that matches up with a lot of the content that we're putting out. And of course, there's graphics and there's other cloud-based editing tools and so on and so forth. And then if there's a shot that we're missing, then along comes Midjourney or some other AI tool. So yes, there's a lot of thought that's coming, being put into what we're doing. But having worked in broadcast news in a traditional sense, there's no way to pump out those stories that we're pumping out the way we pump them out in the time frame that we pump them out in traditional broadcast news workflow. Aside from just a news anchor talking in the camera and telling you what's going on today, but just all of the B-roll stuff and getting that all together, we're getting these packages done, literally within minutes.
And just like any other current news network, you have a point of view, you're going through whatever journalism ethics you need to go through so that what we're watching has gone through some regulatory aspect so that we know it's real news. I mean, is there?
Yeah, we follow, when you become a member of the National Press Club, you sign a contract that says that you're going to adhere to journalistic ethics and guidelines, show non-biased stories, if you will, make sure you fact check and all that. So we use AI to do the fact checking in many cases. And of course, it's always about the sources. Because we're not doing investigative journalism, it makes it a lot easier for us. I mean, we're ultimately reporting on new economy, innovation, mavericks, new companies that are doing cool stuff. And we're just, our fact checking is making sure that, we're getting, say, a press release or a publicist sends us one. We want to make sure that the company is legit and they're not FTX. Right.
I want to go to the audience in a minute. I just want to ask a few more things about where this virtual human piece can go. So some of us are seeing it as, the people that may be online, the sort of more evolved chatbot, or you're seeing it maybe when you walk into a hotel or an office, instead of a human being now, you're having that sort of first layer of filtering. Are you looking at it now too for other creative content outlets?
Yeah, so we see a future where conversational AI with virtual humans is here now. And we've seen a variety of different, because keep in mind, not to get meta again, we're reporting on AI as well as using the tools. And new economy has a variety of different topics: cybersecurity, blockchain, digital currencies, and so on. So this is all in our wheelhouse. So I'm seeing a lot of different just great companies that we're reporting on. And conversational AI using virtual humans is here right now today. Companions, as you mentioned. I think, that will be used for dating, but also for folks that are folks are suffering from, say, mental health issues or the elderly. We can make a virtual human version of you, for example, and that we could take the data of all of your social media, all of your writings, basically all of you that you have that's in text format, and have a module of you, and you can have a conversation with potentially a grandparent or someone that might be suffering from Alzheimer's. And that will help them through their internal therapy of always having you around, even if it's just on a screen, for example. So I've seen a lot of really innovative use cases, which are great, that go beyond the entertainment industry and go beyond journalism. And, again, it's like, we had spell check and Grammarly, and now we have AI. So it's just another tool in the toolbox.
I was just thinking about that's a lot of Lori,
Scanner. You never have too much Lori.
But yeah. But that's amazing.
World of Schwartz.
The World of Schwartz. That's right. That was my my website for a while. I was wondering too. Then, do you see talent like that's in this audience? Folks that are used to making content, their skill sets then will be needed in other business categories to create content that's engaging using these virtual humans, right? Like it looks like there's new content needs being born out of this.
Well, 100%. It just makes it easier to create content. But you still need to respect story, right? Without story, you don't have anything. And we're telling stories every day. We're telling news stories. They're based upon actual reference points that are real in the world. So it's not just fiction. But still, it's all storytelling. And, if you're doing responsible storytelling, then you're contributing in a positive manner. We also see on the actor front that, well, I'm not going to get into that. On the broadcast journalism front, you have a lot of really known, talent that's out there. Let's take,
Rachel Maddow.
or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow, right? So here are folks who really work hard and they're on camera all the time, but a big chunk of their time on camera is just nonsense. It's like stuff that we don't see. It's all taped beforehand. It's the ins and the outs. It's the wrappers. It's the promos. It's that. There's no reason for them to have to do that. Like, you can literally just capture them as a virtual human and have a writer write all that stuff. It's all pretty formatted anyway. It's, why waste 2 hours of their valuable time doing that when they can spend 2 hours more working on stories and allowing them to prepare for their interviews with really important folks.
And you're not paying them as well, right?
No, it's still part of their contract.
But you're not paying them on camera. You're not paying camera people.
You're paying them, but perhaps it's less camera time.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that the camera crew is going away. It just means that you're freeing up that studio time to be able to do something else that would be more productive and more, intelligent, if you will, and more thought through, because they're rushing through it. So
I want to ask the audience some questions. And first, sorry, I've been doing my Oprah Phil Donahue thing. Natalie, I just want to ask you, how long does it take to scan somebody if someone comes in?
Yeah, so you basically will book a studio shoot, and we need about 7 minutes of video capture. So depending on how many looks you want to do, you could sit there for like an hour in total, have your makeup done, look your best. But it's pretty quick.
And people can just book it and just come in and get they don't need to tell you what the purpose is. You're just going to do it for them and then give it to them and off they go.
Well, it's part of a video package. So at the end of the day, we're a generative video company. So you can use your own avatar, use your own likeness to create content in video that you're featured in. So it's a video business and a subscription kind of.
That's so cool. All right. Do we have some questions here from okay. Yes, sir.
Hey, questions.
So what when you're looking at somebody's face, there's so much more than just what they're saying. There's all their facial expressions, it adds so much nuance and stuff. So do your virtual people do that somehow?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see when Raxana was giving her presentation. That's actually one of the reasons, definitely one of the reasons why we went with Hour One. They're an enterprise solution. There's plenty of these generative video solutions that you'll see for your phone, that are really consumer friendly and they're just for mobile use only. But they don't look real. And maybe that's intentional that they don't look real. Maybe it's better that they don't look real, but we really wanted a convincing enterprise solution. And that was, this wonderful company in Israel. So, there are a variety of other options out there, but their technology is getting better and better. And so, the facial expressions and the mouth movements are really critical. Now, the second part of that is, what happens if I want it in 40 different languages? How does the facial, saying something in Russian is very different than in English in terms of how your face moves. And we ran tests on that and it worked really well. So it was good for our purpose. Keep in mind, we're a startup media company. We're a global broadcast media outlet reaching 150 million households, but we're ultimately an independent media company. So to operate a 24-hour broadcast studio, right, with actual humans and spending millions of dollars on systems integration and building out that studio, and then trying to find a host that can speak 45 languages, I mean, it's just not possible. So your world really opens up in a whole new way.
That's great.
Thank you. I'm Bernard. I'm a former radio journalist. I do interviews hundreds of influential people, even like powerful people in Indonesia. I just want to know how AI can connect with the human interaction, because interview means interaction,
Yep.
many views.
Yep.
How AI can get the emotion, the relational with the the special guest that in the future?
Yeah. So you're not, this is to my point earlier, interviewing somebody, your job's not going away anytime soon, right? Because humans and humans talking to one another is very different than these companion AI systems. Companion AI systems are not, they're conversational, but they're not conversational like the conversation we're having now, Bernard, right? They're still very rudimentary and basic. They'll get there eventually, but it will take some time, and some changes on computing power and infrastructure. However, you can use AI right now. You take your distinctive voice and all of those, like I said, all of those wrappers and everything that you've like not wanted to do, and it's just time consuming. Now you can just have the AI do that for you in your voice, and on top of it in other languages. You can also take all of your audio interviews that you've ever done, translate that to to text, and then run it through another AI program in different languages. Won't be your voice, but that same conversation that you had with you and I right now could be in German, right? So it's just going through the steps.
That's amazing. Can it host a trade show stage?
No one can host as good as you, Laura.
All right, that's all I wanted to hear.
Hi, Gary Krantz.
Hi,
You
Gary.
had mentioned I'm interested. Are you as a global news service? You had mentioned press releases and feeding 10 and then doing the 11th and 12th. Are you also doing investigative journalism and going out there and looking for stories?
Well,
Or is it
the stories
all coming in?
It's mostly coming in. We get a lot of inbound, and as I said earlier, we're not doing investigative journalism. I have a huge amount of respect for investigative journalists, especially the ones that right now are, on the front lines in the wars that are happening in this world. Those people live and die to get us, some version of the truth. And I think that the craft of investigative news journalism is highly underrated and very underappreciated. And literally there are, I think it's something 125, I could be wrong on the number, journalists that are detained and or imprisoned or missing at this current point in time. Not just in, Hamas, Israel, but Ukraine, Syria, Russia, all around the world. And these folks, have tried to get their version of the truth out to us. No, we're not doing that, but we do a lot of fact checking, and we use AI to do that because in the new economy, we're talking about financial news. So there's a couple of buffers before we run a story. First, we're not just like, if you sent me a press release, we wouldn't run it. We want it to come from a creditable source. So who's your PR person? Or is it coming vis-a-vis AP, Reuters, or other newswire services that have already filtered it before it gets to us? And then, and then we're taking that information that's textually there, running it through our systems to make sure that, you are who you say you are. These are rudimentary basic things that all journalism should fundamentally be based upon. And then the story goes. So our stuff is really about promoting adoption with a positive narrative about what's happening in the new economy. And, we're not there to do these type of stories that are, investigative stories, that are really, we don't even cover geopolitics or, religion or drugs or anything like that. We're just focusing on innovation.
Great. We have one more question here.
Sure.
Hi, thank you very much. Hi, Eugene Oba of Common Sense Entertainment. Question for you. In thinking about this technology and all, will this or could this supplant the production of local newscasts, especially in smaller markets? Because we have seen in some of the smaller markets, some of that being replaced with national stuff. But could this supplant the production of local newscasts?
Very astute question, and the answer is 100% yes. Local news is really in trouble. Local news is suffering as it is, and there's a lot of challenges with local news in terms of just operational costs. Local news has been a staple for all of us in this room, having grown up. It's a big business, big industry, and employs a lot of people. And the distributors that put out local news really aren't seeing the return that they want. It's almost they have to do it as a public service. So I think that you are definitely going to see virtual humans being used on a local news level, here in the States and globally. Certainly for just straight reporting, like, weather, even sports. Again, anything that doesn't involve an interview, right? Other areas that they really can't compare is like the field reporting. Field reporting is safe, but you can have a virtual news anchor tossed to a field reporter. So that's totally possible. These are things that it's just a matter of time.
One more question. I lied.
Sorry. Thanks. I'm totally unfamiliar with how this works from a business perspective, but because of the speed, you're able to repurpose the existing stories and you don't do investigative journalism. Do you have to compensate the sources that you are pulling from, or do you have to credit them somehow? And then two, do you ever use local news stories as part of something that's repurposed?
So all of the B-roll, I think is what you were referencing, is all rights cleared. So when you see, for example, the B-roll in the news package that we played on NAB, we're pulling it, content from the NAB website. We have B-roll from, say, the Getty editorial library. We're also using generative video to create, what I call magic B-roll. And all of that is 100% rights cleared.
But for the actual stories themselves, not the video.
No, for the video that we're creating. That's the B-roll in the story. I think that maybe I'm not understanding your question. Are you saying, do we compensate the people that we're reporting on?
No, I guess when you mentioned, and I'm unfamiliar with how this works, but you mentioned pulling press releases and other stories and then using ChatGPT to write scripts.
Yes.
And do you need to source those stories or source those?
No, the stories are sent to us as press releases from accredited sources. So, because we're, an editorial outlet, we're not pay to play. If you have a good story and it comes from an accredited source and it fits what our messaging is, then we'll look at it, make a decision if we're going to run the story. If we run the story, then it goes to script phase, where we're using items like ChatGPT to write those scripts, and then a human double checks it to make sure, like, okay, we've kicked out the script based upon these sources. We've done our due diligence in terms of fact checking. Let's reread this. Now it goes to script. Script then goes to Arrow One. We get, our ISO feed of our virtual presenter, and then we add B-roll around that to help tell the story. And all of that content is rights cleared, including the music.
Nice. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks. I hope that answered your question.
Mark, we have to wrap up, but where can we learn more about what you're doing and what Arrow One's doing?
For us, it's pretty simple. It's defiance.tv. And for you guys, it's arrow1.ai. That's it. And of course, Natalie's here and she's super awesome. So, get some time with them, and I'm happy to talk as well. Thanks for your time.